Not yet. Now we are.
Hello, how is everybody? Brian Schroeder here, CM Prim,
Timothy Lucas Walls.
Timothy Lucas Walls.
Killicam,
Camron Cathcart.
Camron.
The newest buyer for Faster House. How long have you been on the team, Cam?
A week and 2 days.
A week and 2 days.
And really, the first couple days last week, I was in and out.
Yeah.
So a week, probably around
A week?
Yeah.
How many houses have you bought?
2 confirmed, and then 4 if with verbal agreements on.
You got 2 signed.
2 under contract. I can.
2 that are like verbal that you're real close on.
Exactly.
And one of them was actually calling you a minute ago. You might.
It was. It's a done deal. Let's just count it.
Let's just count
so
it.
3. Yeah. So we got 3, and we got 4 that will be done by this evening.
He's optimistic, which is good. If
Right.
I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet on all 4. I'd bet on about half of them, but prove me wrong. That'd be awesome.
We're going to see how optimistic he is today because we're going to go over his disc profile and stuff.
I love
The
it.
dude is optimistic.
Yes, he is.
Always. But I love optimistic people buying houses.
Mhm.
yeah. For those of you who don't know what a disc is, we're gonna go over Cam's personality test, pretty much,
Yeah,
right? To
we're
see what
Right.
makes Cam tick.
We're gonna peel Cam
break me
open.
apart.
Yep, we're gonna peel them open and look inside.
Tell me where all of my flaws are at.
Yes.
And we're going to
Guys,
go
you
over
can record that.
the 4 deals that you know,
Yeah.
kind of how they came in, how you negotiate them and stuff. So it's going to be fun today.
Let's do it.
All right, but before we get started, just for those who don't know, we have a flipping business. We're going to buy about 182 deals this year. That's
the goal.
That's our plan.
Mhm.
We're going to rehab about 50 of them and wholesale about 100 of them and keep some rentals.
Yep.
Something like that. We have a hard money lending business with about $10 million out on the street to local rehabbers and landlords, helping a lot of other rehabbers and landlords fulfill their dreams,
Yes.
which is awesome. We all have rentals. Ken, you got rentals, right?
We've got rentals, yeah.
You guys got a freaking ton of rentals.
Well, we have a good amount. You have a ton of rentals.
we love rentals.
Combined at this table, we have over 250 doors.
Yep.
That's a lot.
260. Say
260. There's the optimism
There we
from
go.
him right
All
there.
in the St. Louis area.
Yep.
And we have a traditional brokerage, so we're going to talk just about how the market is for a few minutes today. And we got this education gig. We got a webinar coming up.
Webinar coming up. I'm starting May 27th. So go to FasterFreedom.com/webinar if you have any questions.
Say hi to your daughter.
And say hi. My daughter, Maisie, says hello. I don't think she typed that. She's 3.5. I think my wife typed it, but
She's
hello.
pretty smart.
She's,
Hi, Maisie.
she's
She might
very
be able to
smart.
type that.
She's very smart. Hey, May May.
Maisie. Hi, Maisie.
Yeah, so if you got questions for Cam or Sam or Lucas or I, put them in the comment box. If you just want to make fun of Cam, put it in the comment box.
Or
Please
me.
do.
Or
Or
Lucas.
Sam with you as walls.
And we'd love for you to subscribe or share this or like this. Any way you can help us spread the word, we really appreciate it. So anyway, let's get into kind of like market activity. So how's the leads been this week, Sam?
Leads have been good. They picked up a little bit. If you guys have been watching, you know we kind of ramped them down for a little bit. We're ramping them back up. We have been for the past couple of weeks, but some of them take a little time to ramp back up. We had 18 leads in the last week, which our goal is 20. Obviously, we want to get more than that. So we're right there coming out of all this, which we're happy with. And we actually had 7 under contract in the last week. To purchase. 7 under contract to purchase. So 7 buys under contract in the last week. And I think about 5 of them came in about a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
The end of Monday, beginning of Tuesday. So it's been picking up for us, and I think they're all pretty good buys. The ones Cam bought, we might lose some money on, but other than that,
There's a chance.
We're gonna
Everybody
lose
loses money on their first deal.
yeah, every buyer has lost money on their first deal. So we got to make sure we do that with Cam. Take an offer that's less than we would bought for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the market is heating up. This kind of virus thing is maybe lessening up a little bit. Do you guys feel like there's more activity going on, or what do you guys think?
Yeah, I do. People are getting out, looking into houses. I think we sold under contract to sell 6 this week. One of which was a retail house. The rest of the 5 were wholesale houses to rehabbers and landlords. So if you're looking for deals, if you're an investor looking for deals, go to fasterdeals.com, talk to Phil, and he'll get you a good deal. I don't think we have one house for sale right now as far as retail side of things. So retail is moving.
Everything that we've had is under contract or
Yep.
sold.
And there's a reason for that. The biggest reason for that is we pick and choose which ones we go in the retail market. We're not doing $700,000 houses on the retail market. We're staying in our niche.
Where's our niche?
And their niche is 100 to 300,000 pretty much. that's what we want them to be worth when we're done fixing them up, because that market is so hot right now. We're proving it with all the numbers you can see on the MLS and what we're seeing as well, that part of the market's hot. So that's where we're focusing on our rehabs, and that's why we don't have any to sell.
Yep, quality cosmetic rehabs that you can turn quickly in 4 to 6 weeks. Those are what we focus on.
Yeah, the market's hot, so let's keep buying and selling. Rents. Let's talk about our rentals just a little bit. Just from our perspective, Debbie, my wife runs our rental business, and we've had several come vacant. We've had more showings than we can really remember on any of our vacant houses that are coming up to market. So there's a lot of people out there looking for to rent houses right now.
Yeah, how have your showings been, Cam? Because Cam, I think he's bought 8 houses personally, him and his wife, for flipping and rental in the first 6 months they've been back here, and now he's a buyer. He's going to be buying more than that. But you have several rentals for just getting started. How have they been?
They've been great. I mean, we were, we got 100% of our payments for May already. So that was great. And then we just listed a house for rent, and we had, I think, probably 12 showings on the first weekend. And we have a good renter that's lined up to move in, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. So it worked out great for us. So ours have been good. I mean, we don't have anywhere near as many as you guys, but what we do have has been really good and moving quick. So it's been awesome.
Love it.
Yeah, rental business is good.
It's good. Yeah, I think our occupancy is like 98%. And the ones that we do have coming vacant, they're not vacant for long, because showings are crazy right now for rentals and retail.
Yeah, I think the market's kind of hot like it is most springs, or has been the last several springs. And I think people's perception that it was just going to completely tank is part of the reason why everything seems so hot. I mean, things are doing really well, but everyone kind of thought that no one's going to pay rent, no one's going to buy houses, and it's kind of pushed through all the pandemic and everything. And it's probably maybe it's not quite as hot as it would have been without that. I'm sure probably not, but it seems like it's even more hot just because our perception was this is going to get really bad, and it hasn't gotten really bad yet. As far as how it's affected the real estate market, I know there's a lot of other things that have been very bad about it, but how it's affected our rental and retail market has not been that bad. So
yeah, we just got an appraisal back on a house that we flipped ourselves, and we were expecting it to come in around the 130 mark, and it came in at 139. So
Nice.
Which is amazing, because I know that appraisals were down a little bit as well, but our appraisal came back and it was amazing.
Awesome.
The real estate market in the St.
Hot.
Louis area is resilient. I keep saying that.
It's so local too, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So St.
It
Louis is the key to that statement. So our local market is strong and resilient.
Yes. So let's see. Let us know where you're from or what you're doing. Are wholesalers out there, rehabbers, landlords?
yeah, if you're not from St. Louis, let us know how your market is.
Yeah, give us some feedback. How you doing on your rentals? If you got any questions, love some activity in the chat box. So we have a trusted vendor of the week this week. It is REI Print Mail. They're also known as Graphic Connections. It's the company that we do all of our direct mail marketing through. And, roughly I'd say about 25% of all the houses we buy come from direct mail. Is that?
Yeah, probably around that number. Yep.
Yeah, and they're located right here in the Chesterfield area. They understand marketing, and they understand real estate investors. They're not just a print house.
They're a marketing company that prints mail.
Yes, and they understand real estate investors
Very
really
much
well.
so. Yep, they deal with all the real estate investors from around the whole country.
Yes.
And they have very talented graphic design people on their team. So if you got some one-off folders or a little booklet that you guys need printed, they'll help you out with that too.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into talking to Cam here a little bit. So,
All right,
here it comes.
Let's do it.
First question I have for you, already answered. How long you been a buyer for Faster House?
A week.
1 week.
Yeah, it's been
Write
a
that
week.
down, Brian.
1 week.
We just started last week.
Feels like a month.
It has. It has.
So what did you do before you came on board here?
Before I was working here, I worked in ministry. So I worked at a local church in the area. Worked there for about a year. And before that, my wife and I, we lived in Colorado for the past, I think it was like 7.5, close to 8 years.
Yeah.
So
Were you in the real estate business in Colorado?
I was not. No, I worked at a church out there. I've always loved real estate, and I always wanted to be in real estate. But in Colorado, it was a little bit out of our price range. So we did get lucky and had a live-in flip where we did to update it and stuff. And it also just, the market was crazy there. And so we're able to make a little bit of money there and then come here and kind of invest it in real estate out here. So
Yeah, I think part of it, I wanted to make sure everybody understood that you've only been here a week. You've only been back in the St. Louis area for a year, because I think it makes it so impressive how well you've done over the last year buying rentals and flips for yourself, and then coming on the team and how fast you've ramped up. You're a talented dude.
well, thank you.
Talented and just you're hungry too, and a lot of people are kind of stuck in that fear zone, and you were not. You want to go get it, and I love that about you.
No, one of my wife and I, we kind of talked about it, and we were like, we had a little bit of money from our house in Colorado, and we were like, the worst that can happen is we lose all of this money.
That's right.
But at the same time, like, we lose that money, and we're 28, 29 years old, and we start over.
Right.
I know a lot of people that are our age that don't have any money in the bank. Not that that's a bad thing, but so I was like, we lose this money, we can just start over.
Yep.
And so we went, all in, and we bought 8 houses in the last. I think we actually started buying in September, so in like 6 or 7 months. So we bought 8 houses, and it's been a lot of fun.
So those 8 houses that you bought, those were all prior to you working here.
Right. So including here, about 12 houses,
Yeah.
I guess.
So those 8 houses that you bought prior to coming here, how many of those do you own as rentals now, and how many did you flip?
So we flipped 2 of them, and we own 6 of them.
Awesome.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, 6 rentals in the last, what'd you say, 6-8 months?
Yeah. Since we closed on our first one in September.
He's aggressive. Speaking of rentals, let's hop on this question real quick.
Yeah,
Great
why not?
question. Is it a good time to buy new construction for long-term rental? That is a great question.
That's a great question.
Kind of answer that around the table a little bit. I think that it kind of depends on the market you're in as part of it, but I don't know that. I think it's a good time to buy rentals at any time, as long as you're buying them properly. If you can buy the new construction rentals, you're going to have very little maintenance. If you're buying them properly, where you can buy them and then they're going to cash flow, I think now's a great time to buy rentals. I think any time's a good time to buy rentals, as long as you're adjusting for the market.
Yeah, new construction kind of makes sense to me when you can scale it a little bit, especially when you're keeping them as rentals. There's a lot of good things about new construction as far as maintenance goes, because you're not going to have as many maintenance calls as these 50-year-old houses that we're all buying. So if you can scale it, maybe build a couple in a row, especially if they're single families, or maybe build a multifamily, I think it helps get that cash flow a little easier. Other than that, though, it's just really hard to get the numbers to cash flow on new construction, whether versus buying a house and rehabbing it, buying an existing structure and rehabbing it, and then making it as new as possible that way.
Yeah, and the other thing from my perspective, if you're going to buy new construction, you're probably going to have to put 20% down, because you're not buying into a lot of equity typically,
Right.
unless you're the builder or something along those lines. But just in general, assuming that you're planning on putting 20% down, you can get great financing right now. So from the perspective of, can you get excellent long-term financing on a new construction rental? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's ever been a better time as far as that
That's a
goes.
huge part of it too.
Yeah, like you said, very low maintenance for a long time. And they should appreciate well over time. I guess the question is what price range you want to be in.
Mm-hmm. Make sure it cash flows, I think, is a lot, because you should know a pretty good cost of how much you're going to have into it. The
Right.
bank should be able to give you a very, very very accurate estimate of what you're going to have in it.
Yeah, we can't really build anything in our market as far as single family goes for under $200,000 right now. So, if you want to be in those higher end rentals, that does make sense, maybe a little more.
Yeah.
What's up, Daryl? How you doing? We got another new buyer is a hottie. I wonder who.
Holy
that
smokes!
is.
Is that the same last name as you?
It's crazy.
I think that's just some.
So it's
Yeah.
some random person.
Yeah, don't tell your wife about that girl.
Yeah.
Love it. All right, let's get into. I want to just talk to. I thought it would be really cool to talk. You're brand new. You've only been here a little over a week, and you already got 2 under contract, written, signed. 2 more verbals at the moment. So let's just talk about those deals.
Love it,
Let's see how they went and stuff. I think it'll be fun, and feel free to join in and ask any questions or whatever. So first one you got was on Fairview. You remember the Fairview deal?
Yeah. It was Thursday or Friday we went there. So I think it was a week ago today.
Yeah.
Was my first buy. So
We got it as a lead. It was an SEO lead. So what do you know about it? Tell us about the seller and.
So the seller, her husband had passed away about a year ago. Actually, I don't think it was a year ago. I think it was in January is when he passed away. And she had said that she's got 2 kids. They didn't want to be in the house anymore, understandably so. And so they had already bought in a house, and they were in the process of trying to rehab it. There was stuff that needed to be done to get it up to what the average comps in the area were at. And they had kind of started it, but not really. And I think she just, as she was figuring that out, she realized this is just too much for me to do while I'm being a mom, working full time while I'm living in another house. And so she reached out to us, and I texted her, and we ended up setting up an appointment for, within 24 hours. And we went over there and walked through it. And so we did a rehab budget on it and ran comps on the average, ARV, if it was fixed up, what it would look like in the area, and made an offer.
So tell a little bit about that offer. I was with you. So we walked the property, we went outside, we already knew what we thought it was worth. Going into it, we walked the property, and then we went out in my car and ran a budget and, wrote it all down. And then we sat down on our back porch and you went through all the numbers with us. So tell us kind of how you did that. And then what did she say after you gave her your offer?
So we sat down, and one thing that I love about you guys is that you guys are so transparent. So I told her exactly, I said, hey, here's what we think is the ARV of this house. And here's where we buy. So we're going to buy it, 70 to 77% of that ARV minus repairs. I told her that straight up. And then I walked through all of the repairs, every single repair that we had written down on the house. Like, it might need a new roof. It needs new cosmetic upgrades, and literally just took her through all of that. And then I said, so 75% of the ARV minus repairs, here's the number that we get, and this is what we're going to offer you.
What'd she say?
And she looked at me, and she almost started crying, and she said, that's way higher than anybody else.
So what did you think?
Oh man, my heart just started pounding, because I'm like, I'm going to lose a ton of money on this deal. Fortunately though, went back, reran comps. I think
it's a great example of how we're transparent. We said we think your house is worth this, and she said, you really think it's worth that? That's more than I thought. So she just had this in her head, and I think one of us said, yeah, that's what we think it's worth. We're not trying to take advantage of you. We're not trying to make a huge profit. I said our average profit's around 10, 11,000. We make good money on some, we lose money on others. So we kind of have to be as conservative but realistic as possible. We could have said, oh yeah, let's redo our numbers because you think it's worth less. No, our numbers are our numbers. Here they are.
Yeah.
And who knows? She could have gotten an offer $3,000 less than ours and thought that ours was way more. So we just don't know that. Just be open and honest.
Did you guys ask her who the other offers were from, or what other offers she had?
I think both of us were so excited that we were getting this first deal.
Yes.
We didn't even. We're just
exactly. I was like, all right. And then when she said that, I wasn't. But I was confident when we made that offer that it was still everybody. She was happy. We were happy. Whoever the end buyer is going to be happy. Everybody's going to make money off of this. Everybody's going to be happy about this. But it was kind of funny that she told me after the first.
She was so happy. She was so relaxed. She told us she wanted to kiss us. She's like, if we were going through all this COVID stuff, I kissed you, boys. She told us. So she's very happy. Hopefully Lexi's logged off by now to hear that. But so that's just a great example of she got other bids. Ours was the highest. We're comfortable with what we're gonna make. She's happy with what she got for it, and someone's gonna make good money on the back.
Yeah, and I love it because we're gonna pay her what we offered her. We're not like when she said that, I was like, well, let's
beat you down more.
Yeah, so we're gonna pay her exactly what we offered her. We're paying closing costs. Like what we offered her is what she's gonna walk out with.
So what are we gonna do with that house?
So that's the reason why I love the house so much. It's like $180,000 to $200,000 house in Ballwin. In Ballwin in the St. Louis area, that could go up to $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. So it's on the lower end of a great part of town. So we could sell it to a landlord, we could sell it to a rehabber, we could rehab it ourselves and put it on the market. That's what I love about this house is there's multiple exit strategies. What do you want to do with it, Cam?
I personally, which I'm super optimistic, I think we could rehab it and we could put it on the market for 200 and it would sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what'd you buy it for?
We bought it for 107.
And
So
what do you think the rehab's gonna be?
I think it's between 25 and 30.
Okay, so 107, say it's 30, or would be into 140 grand, and we can list it at like 199.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That'd be our list.
That's a great deal.
Yep.
Mhm.
And if someone buys it as a rental from us, there's probably a $10,000 rehab in
Yeah.
there somewhere. So there's a lot less you can do as far as rehab
Yeah.
goes.
Like
if someone's keeping it as a
If a
rental.
renter wanted to burr out of that, you could put 10 grand in it and it would appraise at 170, 180, no problem.
Love that.
You would be able to burr out and have a renter in there for there's I think a house across the street renting for $1,400 a month. So you could.
Man, he's confident, isn't he?
Yeah,
I like it.
So I think there's so many
Optimistic.
extra strategies. I think it's a great buy for everybody. Like I said, she's happy, we're happy, and buyer's gonna be happy.
What he didn't tell you is I did all the negotiation.
Oh.
I'm kidding. He did good. He did
I walked up and I
he
was like,
did.
"This is my associate. This
Yeah.
is my
Executive assistant.
This is my assistant with me today."
Cam did a
So,
good job.
That was your first deal.
That was my first deal. Yes.
All right, let's talk about the second one. I think the second one is really interesting. So the second one's on Bellsworth, down
Yes.
in Melville School,
Mhm.
the South County-ish.
Yeah, Melville School District, great district, school district, great area.
There's a couple interesting things about this one, I thought. Number one is the lead came into us because we do a direct mail piece. Shout out to REI Print Mail. We do a direct mail piece that any house that becomes vacant recently, and we get that from a United States Post Office list. So any house that becomes vacant recently, we send them out a direct mail piece. So we send out a direct mail piece on a house that they owned in North County,
Mm-hmm.
and then you called them, and how'd it go from there?
Yeah, so I called on a house in North County and started talking with her about that, and kind of quickly realized that house wasn't going to work, at least right now. I think at some point it could still potentially work out. But I just was like, well, we always are buying houses. Do you have anything else? And she wasn't even going to bring anything else up. And I was like, do you have anything else? And she was like, well, actually, I've got a house in Fenton, a house in Melville, and then I've got a commercial building in St. Charles that we're all trying to get rid of. And so I was like, all right, amazing. And so I had her give me all the information on all three of those houses in the commercial property, and ended up that day driving out to the house out in Melville and set up an appointment the next day for that commercial building in St. Charles. But went out to the house in Melville and walked it, and they were asking more than we wanted to pay for it, and the negotiations were probably like 3 or 4 days where we offered one price, they came back at another price, we came back at another price, they came back, and we finally met in the middle and got it under contract. Yeah. So again, I think this one is a really great deal.
I think that's the
Yes.
theme. I think he's going to think every deal he buys is a
Yeah,
good deal, which is
it's a lot of
good.
money.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of lessons in there. Number one is you didn't just take the rejection of the house in North County isn't available right now. You continue the conversation to see if they happen to have something else. And
Mhm.
holy smokes, they had other properties.
Yeah.
So many people would have just hung up the phone right there. So that was a number one, first great thing you did.
Yeah.
Uh,
And the second great thing I think you did is you made an offer that was obviously way below what they wanted, and it didn't piss them off.
Yeah.
True.
So you made
That's
it in
true.
a way that was respectful, and ended up getting the deal down the road by going back and forth. Now we ended up, I think, buying it a little higher than what we wanted it to. What was your initial offer on that?
So I initially offered, I believe it was like 73.5.
Yeah.
And we ended up coming up to 82.5, but still the house, you guys think it's a 135 house. I think it's a 145 house.
Optimism right there for you.
But still, I mean, and it's the great thing about this house is it is literally, it takes a couple grand and it is rent ready because they've already rehabbed almost all of it. They had it'd been like a 2.5 year rehab for them because they bought it and it just real slow rehab. And so it's almost done. They
Yep.
just wanted to be done with it. And so it doesn't take much to get it rent ready. And
Right.
so it's not going to be a huge rehab for anybody who ends up buying it. It's going to be an easy rental or easy flip. So
Yeah, and they bought it cash and then put some money into it. So they're probably getting out of it with what about they have in it, hopefully,
Yeah.
right around that. So, they're not, they could potentially put another 10 into it and list it, but to them, they were, they were like, all right, let's just get rid of it basically for what we have in it and wash our hands of it. And we can, it again has a couple of different extra strategies. It can be a rental, probably will be rental, but it doesn't have to be. It could be a rental. It could be a quick little put 10, 15 into it, maybe even less, and sell it on the open market. So it has multiple extra strategies, and that's kind of a theme that we always shoot for. We hate when we buy something and we have to rehab it in order to make money, because guess what? We usually don't. If we have to rehab it because we can't wholesale it, probably bought too high, and we're going to end up probably not making a ton on it.
So I'm always curious, how did you negotiate? So you made the offer right then and there. Were you in front of them at that point?
Yeah, I've ran into her probably 5 times over the last 4 days. Because I drove out there and she was there. Then we met at the St. Charles property and she was there. Then went back out there, she was there, and then went back out there one other time to negotiate. So 4 times. And every time it was just kind of like back and forth. So I think we offered, 73. They came at 94.
Okay.
And then I went up to 70, like 78.
The next time you saw her, or how did that work? Or how did?
I think I texted her.
Texting her, okay.
And then she came back at she came back at 82.5.
By text? Via text?
Via text.
Okay, so you're negotiating via text.
I came back at 80. She came back at 82.5. And then I went out there and I took CJ with us, who is, does all things construction. And I just wanted, before I met her at 82.5, I wanted to make sure that my budget was right on it. And so CJ walked in, CJ was like, this is a great house. It's going to take you, because I was estimating for a rental about 10, and for a flip it would be 15 or so. And he said it's going to be probably 5 for a rental, 10 for a flip. And so when he said that, then I knew I could go up to 82.5 and I still would be safe on it. And so she was there when I got there, and we walked through, and I said, hey, really like it. I'm going to give you a call here in an hour, and I'll make you an offer, and we'll see. And so gave her a call back and said, hey, 82.5 works. And she said, send me the contract, and I sent it to her, and she got it signed up. So it worked out great.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. A lot of good nuggets there.
There are a lot of good nuggets.
Yeah.
And everybody does it differently.
Yeah. Well, I guess one nugget I want to hit on just real quick before we jump on to the next deal is he got a second set of eyes on something.
Yeah.
And even all of us have been doing this a long, long time, and we still get second and third sets of eyes on things. So it's okay. Don't be too prideful to think you know it all. Get a second set of eyes on your deals.
Yeah. And if there's anything you would have done differently, let us know. I know Cam and Sam both like to negotiate via text a lot. I've done very little of that in my career. I'm almost always negotiating on the phone or in person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's just different how people do it.
I think right when I started, I bought a house over text. You're like, you just bought a house over text? I was like, yeah. Well, this one is a little bit, she was an agent representing, so she was the point of contact. So he can text her, she can call or text the seller, they can have a conversation, and then, it just kind of can streamline the process.
So was she not the decision maker then?
No.
Oh, that does change things if you're not dealing directly with
And when you first started buying houses, I don't think text was even.
Yeah.
They didn't even have cell phones, did they?
10 cents.
Did they have TV? Was there black and white TV?
We had to, I remember when it's offside. When I was a kid, there was no remote control, so I used to lay on the floor in front of the TV and change the channel with my foot because
Lazy bum.
lazy bum. All right, let's move on. That was a great story, though. Holy smokes!
I think this one's even better.
All right, you got a house verbally accepted right now in Webster.
Yes.
Are you anxious about getting that?
I am going to call him as soon as we get done with this conversation and just see. We've already sent him a contract. So he said, send the contract. I'll sign it. Everything's good. But I really want the contract signed just so I can breathe in a sigh.
Tell us a little bit about the appointment and how it went right when you walked in the door and what you had to do to make the seller comfortable.
Yeah, so the appointment was great. We met on, I think it was Tuesday morning, 9 a.m. or Monday morning, whenever it was. And I showed up, and I knew that I was in trouble when I pulled up because he came out of the house and he was wearing a mask, and I didn't have a mask on me, and so immediately my heart kind of sank. And I was like, uh-oh. But I was like, I'm going to go up and just see if he is okay with it. And I completely understand with that. And he was a little bit older. And so I walked up to him and kept the whole social distancing thing on. And he was like, He's like, man, if you don't mind putting on a mask to come in here. And I was like, I don't have a mask. And so what I did was I was like, give me 5 minutes. And there's a Schnucks literally a quarter of a mile down the road. And so I jumped into my car and I took off towards Schnucks. And I went in there and I looked for masks, and they were all sold out. But when I walked in, there was a lady sitting at the front, and she had like masks and a thermometer. And I went up to her and I was like, can I, like, what are these masks for? And she's like, oh, I'm here for the employees. And for like a second, I was like, I'm gonna act like I'm an employee from the Ballwin store. I got called in here today, and I was like, I shouldn't do that because I'll get caught in that. I was like, is there any way? And she's like, no. And I was like, please give me a mask. She was like, no. I even offered her $20 on the spot to give me a mask. She wouldn't. And so I had to do the next best thing. And I just real quick, because I wanted to get back to the house, I saw a kitchen like washcloth and a pair of scissors. And so I bought the washcloth. I bought the scissors. I cut ear holes into the mask. I put them over my ears. And I went back and I did the entire tour in that kitchen.
That fall theme.
Yeah, it's fall
theme. And you cut the scissors are to cut holes for his ears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it stayed on, and you were.
So actually, once we got into the house and started walking around, I don't know if he was just embarrassed for me. Finally, he's like, you don't need to wear that. So I took it off.
You showed him you were willing to.
Exactly. So, but that was the start of the appointment. And it got better from there. I mean, the appointment was great. It's a beautiful house in Webster, and the story behind that was his sister had passed away, so we sent him a letter, and he called us and went in, and we honestly, for the first 45 minutes to an hour, we didn't even walk the house at all. We just talked. So we talked about his sister, we talked about his childhood, we talked about he's an airline pilot. Like we literally just sat there and talked. We talked about religion. We just talked about everything for like an hour. And eventually he was like, well, you want to walk the house? And I was like, okay, yeah, let's walk the house. And so walked the house, and the entire time he was telling me stories about his sister. And it was just a really great appointment. I would have done it without having to buy a house. I just would have went and talked to him because I think he's in his late 70s and was just a really great guy to get to talk to and shared advice. And so at the end of the appointment, I told him exactly kind of what I did with the lady at the Ballwin house, exactly how we are going to buy the house. Because again, I don't want to take advantage of anybody, and that's not how you guys do things at all. And so I said, hey, we're going to find the best comps in the area, and we're going to pay you 75% minus repairs on this house. And he was all for it and completely understood that. And again, on that one, there was quite a bit of repairs that needed to be done, and I wasn't comfortable doing that myself. So I didn't make him an offer on the spot. I told him I'd call him in a couple hours, and then I came back to the office, and us and Phil, we chatted about what we thought the budget would be at. And
so you took a whole bunch of photos, or how did you share with everybody else?
Yeah, so I think I took on this one, I probably took 75 photos of everywhere in the house. There's one place where there had been a leak, but it had been repaired. Took a bunch of photos of that, the basement, the furnace, just everything in the house. Mm-hmm. Put it into a Dropbox, brought it back. We walked through it picture by picture, went through windows, siding, roof, interior, kitchen, and just came up with a budget on it. And then I called him and I told him exactly, hey, we think your house based on comps is worth this. And then here's kind of our baseline price minus repairs. And so here's what we're willing to offer for it. And he didn't even blink. He said that sounds great. And so he said he did want to tell his family before he signed the contract. So that's kind of the waiting game, is he just wants to make sure that he's told all the right people, but he's verbally agreed to it. And I think I completely trust him in the fact that it's going to be a done deal.
I think the key takeaway there is there's a direct correlation with the longer you spend in the house building that rapport, the more likely you are to sell it or to buy it. Even if you don't offer and buy it on the spot, the relationship that you build The longer you spend in the house, the more likely you are to buy it. We see it all the time. If he's on appointment, I know he is and may want to offer on the spot, I'm checking my phone. And if it's been a half an hour, 45 minutes, I know the appointment's going well. And I know we, hopefully have a pretty good shot at it. If they're not talkative and, they're in and out in 10 minutes and they're looking at kind of a business decision, then they may, be calling a bunch of other people, or they may try to beat you, back and forth. If they're just open and you're open with them, you got a pretty good, got a higher chance of buying it.
Yeah, and it's not fake rapport. The best buyers like Cam is going to be is they're genuine and they really care about what the person's going through. And that's the type of people we love to have. And you're more apt to get the deal if you're genuine and listen and not stop thinking about, I'm going to buy this house. I'm going to buy this house. Just focus on that person and just care.
Well, I think that's probably why I got the deal, is because I didn't care about it. I mean, obviously I want the deal and it's going to be great for him and for us, but I would legitimately go grab coffee or lunch with him today if he texted me and said, let's go grab lunch. Cause we just sat there and talked. I wasn't thinking through, how am I going to get a deal out of this? How am I going to, be manipulative? And, we just sat there and talked for the entire time. And then I told him, hey, here's what we can offer, because this is our strategy and this is our algorithm for what we offer. And I think that we were probably the only people in the house, and I think we probably made first.
Do you think
offer.
you have competition on that one?
I don't think so.
He never said anything.
Yeah,
about
he didn't say anything.
But if Cam had
it.
come in and, been super, businesslike and not connected with them, he potentially could have called other people. So that's part of it, is you either set yourself apart from who they call, or sometimes you stop from calling other people, which is the best. So.
Well, because that lead came in on a Sunday, and within minutes of it coming through, I called him and set up an appointment for 9 a.m. the next day on Monday. So it came in on Sunday night. I think you emailed it to me. I called him, and so I think it was probably within 14 hours of getting the lead, I was walking the house.
That's another super important point. Call him back immediately and get an appointment set up.
Well, yeah, because Sam told me this on the very first lead. He said usually sometimes SEO leads, they're just going down the list, filling out. So if you get one through, call it right away and maybe they'll stop.
The other point is he should always listen to me. That's
exactly.
key. Everything
Sam,
I tell him he needs
I
to
need
do.
to listen to Sam more. Honestly.
The more he listens to me, the more houses will buy. That's the important takeaway.
Yeah, I feel like we could talk about this one for a long time. There's a couple other things that I think are worth just throwing out there. One is it backs to a railroad track. So how much did you guys take that into consideration?
We definitely took it into consideration. I talked to him about it. So there are a couple things that really hurt this one. I mean, it's still a good deal because we adjusted for him, but backs to railroad tracks and then the road, but the road's pretty far back, and railroad tracks are pretty far back as well. They're not right in the backyard. It's a few hundred feet behind it.
And the backyard's lined with big trees.
So that helps. And in Webster and Kirkwood, railroad tracks honestly not that big of a deal. People are kind of used to them. There's trains always going through there, so it's not as big of a deal at all. But then the highway is far enough back. So that was something that we made sure we needed to consider. The other thing was didn't even have a driveway. A lot of the comps had driveways and garages and all that kind of stuff. So you definitely have to discount if you have to park in the street and carry your groceries into your house, or carry potentially a younger family buying this one, having to drag, carry their kid in the car seat all the way into the house, as opposed to being able to park in a garage or right next to your house. So those were something we considered, because I think if it had a driveway and a garage and all that, it probably was potentially worth 20, 30, maybe even more than that. Yeah. So you definitely have to, when you're running your comps, be as apples to apples as possible. Yeah. It's not always exactly possible, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not just the house. It's the neighbors. It's the yard. It's whether it has a driveway or not. It's the layout. So there's a lot of things that go into it. It's not as black and white as it's a 3-2 in Webster that's 1,300 square foot. It's not as black and white as that.
Another question from the doctor. Thank you guys for all the info. Due to the pandemic, is it possible to negotiate low prices of new construction better now versus 4 months ago?
It's a good question. It probably depends a lot on what's the real estate market like wherever that property is. Here, I don't really feel like builders are motivated. I mean, there's a lot of buyers out there right now in most price ranges, but it probably just depends on how much traction that builder is getting right now.
Yeah, I would probably say in at least our area, there's not much of a difference now 4 months ago, because I know that a lot of builders don't have huge margins, and it's not like the cost of materials or labor has went down a bunch. So those are kind of the factors that decide what they're gonna charge. So maybe a little bit. Maybe I would try using that as, but I don't know that it's probably a ton different. What do you think? Luke's building the house right now. So.
Yeah, that's true. New construction, our market's still on fire. So I don't know if there's any type of one-off builders that you'd be able to get at a discount right now. I really don't. I think that was the initial thought maybe a month and a half ago when this first hit, is that we can start maybe negotiating a little bit with our contractors because there won't be as much work out there. So they're going to have to start taking jobs they normally wouldn't take. But I just don't think that's where it went.
Yeah. All right. You bought one other house, or you have one other house under contract, but due to time, I kind of want to just skip over that one. Is that right?
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things that we do whenever anybody comes on board our team is we have them do a personality type skill set test. So we're going to throw it up here for Cam. This is Cam. This is who he is in a graphical form. And unless you're
Pretty colorful.
Yeah. Unless you're an expert at this, you probably don't understand this a lot, but we're going to point out a few things because this helps us really hire really high quality people for all of our positions here. And somebody that's an acquisitions guy like Cam has a totally different type of personality and skill set as like somebody that answers the phones around here or somebody that does accounting around here. Everybody's different. So, but this profile is incredible for an acquisitions guy. So I'm going to point out just a few highlights. So Sam, can you point out the high I on his disc?
Right here. So see, this is the yellow bar. It says 95 and 100.
So what that means is Cam is just very outgoing, loves talking to people.
Social butterfly.
Social butterfly. That's exactly right. And when you guys were talking about that deal you went on recently where you built tremendous rapport with the guy before you even started talking about his house, sellers love that, or at least a lot of sellers love that. Not every seller, because if the seller doesn't have somewhat high eye, they may not be wanting to talk to you. But obviously, I think that seller was a high eye, so you guys connected really well. But in general, high eyes are very personable, which you absolutely are. Excellent at building rapport. And what goes well with that is the red bar there. The D is kind of your drive, your determination, your stick-to-itiveness. Cameron's got a lot of drive also that kind of goes with that high eye. So those make a really good combination.
Can I interrupt you real quick? All right, Natasha just asked a great question. Are you training new people to flip houses? Yes, we are. That's what FasterFreedom is. So if you go to www.FasterFreedom.com, you can learn about what we're doing. We have 3 levels of that. We have a webinar that we're launching in 2 weeks where we're going to be going a 10-week course on how to build a rental portfolio, and part of that will be buying houses. That a lot of that can be portrayed into flipping houses. We also have a boot camp that we're going to be training people how to buy and build a rental portfolio at the end of June that you can more likely attend. And then we also have a master coaching program that's kind of the bottom of the funnel. We're more hands-on teaching people. We have monthly meetings and monthly coaching sessions where we teach people. So those are kind of the 3 levels of our education and our that we help train people to buy houses, to flip them or rent them or whatever. So go to FasterFreedom.com and kind of see everything that we're doing on there, and then watch these and definitely check out our YouTube channel. We're putting a lot of really good content that's out there for free as well. So sorry, just wanted to hop on that while they had it. Let's get back to the
Awesome.
this profile.
Thanks for asking, Natasha.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's move over to the motivators. So the motivators is that upper right-hand one. So the 2 that are really super important for a buyer is your utilitarian, what color is utilitarian there, Sam?
It is yellow. It's yellow-orange. Brian's colorblind.
The yellow-orange one there. So it's at about 60%. And you can see there's a line. Can you point out that line there, Sam?
Yep.
That's the national average. So,
right at 50.
So Cam is above the national average. What a higher utilitarian is somebody that's motivated by making money and being efficient and so forth. So being a high I on the disc, relatively high D on the disc, combined with that motivation to bring in good money is a great sales guy, especially a 100% commission type sales guy. And then if you add that to the individualistic, which color is that? Black?
Black, yep.
Yeah. So Cam is somebody that likes to be known that he's good at what he does.
He likes to have his back padded a little bit.
And it's important to him to be really good at whatever he's doing. So
Thank you.
back
Thank
in
you.
the back.
As I'm breaking stuff.
You broke the table there,
That's
Sam.
all right.
So he cares how people view him. So that's a really good trait for a sales guy also. So then scroll down to the bottom there, Sam. So let's point out his skills.
Let's really dig into Cam.
Let's do it.
So
I'm going to see what.
those top skills in that dark purple or whatever that is says those
It's
are
blue, but yeah.
top blue. Those top 9 skills are really well developed for Cam, and in there is negotiation, persuasion, presentation, all super important things to do when you're trying to buy houses at a discount. He's super skilled at those things. Just comes naturally to him. I don't even know if he realizes how skilled he is at those things.
And I think another one that, at least on 2 of my buys that I've done so far, that has helped has been empathy. I think just being empathetic to their situation and letting them know, like, hey, we're not here. We're trying to help you. Because there's 2 of them have been, people that have passed away, family members that have passed away, and that's the reason that they're getting rid of the house. And I honestly think that's been a huge, just building that rapport and being empathetic to them and their situations has helped a lot.
Yeah,
Agreed.
love it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just thought we'd share those things. If you're, everybody's kind of got certain skills and certain talents, and a certain personality that you're born with or you've developed over the years. And if you can put those to the best use for whatever you're doing, not only enjoy what you're doing, but you're super good at it.
Yeah. I love it because, when we took this test and you can kind of see what I'm good at and then what I'm really bad at. And hopefully I can get better at the things that I'm bad at. But, I was talking to Phil, who is our dispositions guy, the other day. And I'm not great at that. And he was like, we didn't hire you to do that. Like, we hired you to buy houses. Like, you don't have to be good at this. And,
Right.
Which is actually, it's awesome because you guys free you up to like be great at what you're great at. And you don't have to be good at what you're not good at. So you guys are, using my skill set to the best of my abilities. It's amazing. I love it.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, we call it the right seat on the bus.
Yes.
The right person on the bus in the right seat.
There you go. Absolutely.
Cool.
Well, guys, you guys have anything to add today, or?
I think we're good. Cam's a talker, so we're
I
definitely.
am. Sorry, guys. I talk too much.
Hi. No,
I talk too much.
No, other than that, thank you for tuning in, guys. We really do appreciate it. We do this every week at 11:30, so please tune in live on Facebook, FasterFreedom, and then on YouTube at FasterFreedom as well. And when you're checking those out, go to our channel and subscribe. We put out great videos every week. We're in the action live doing it every week. We're taking on houses that we're actually buying, houses that we're actually rehabbing, houses that we're actually renting. So it's great content on there. Go on there, like, comment. We'll get back to you right away and subscribe as well. We're going to be doing this for a long time and grow a big following.
Peace.
See you next Thursday, 11:30.